Hello and good evening. For All Mankind, Season 2, Episode 2, The Bleeding Edge is over, and it has been since 2021. But we're just getting started here in 2025 as we continue our mission to watch every episode of For All Mankind here on Live Long and Podcast and talk all about it. I'm Dave Mader. Streaming here live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You might be listening to us in audio versions. Live stream. Hey, Sam, how are you doing? And a great panel here to break it down once again. Coming in here first, he's the man in the arcade, the guy who knows Space Invaders very well. It's Jody Simpson.
I was more like a Galaga guy, but yeah, fair enough. Hi, Dave.
Hey, how you doing, Jody? Glad to have you with you for this episode. Now, Kevin coming in here next, the man who always knows a random Bible passage will get him through whatever he needs. Here he is, Kevin Millard.
That's me. You nailed it.
He's known for
Just
that.
Nailed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All those Bible passages that I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just go whatever one. This is the one that will get me through this moment. You know.
Fun fact: his couch isn't actually a couch; it's just a bunch of Bibles with a thing over it.
I got to have it easy access at all times. A lot of problems in my life.
Yes, exactly. And
Not
of course,
that you can't solve them though.
no. Well, maybe this man can. Coming in here next, in our nation's capital, it is Adam Woodward. Hello, Adam.
Hey guys. Hey, do you guys remember Chaps?
Yeah,
Remember Chaps, the restaurant?
I remember
Yeah.
Chaps.
Wings.
So I remember playing Asteroid in Chaps on one of those tabletop ones that you sat down and rolled the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
times.
yeah. Well, yeah, they were talking about all the improvements or lack of improvements in the Outpost in this episode, including the inclusion of an arcade, Space Invaders. A couple 80s songs pop up in this thing. There's a lot to talk about in this episode. Spoilers, of course, if you have not seen For All Mankind up until this point, Season 2, Episode 2, we will only be talking spoilers up until that point of the show. So if you haven't seen it past that, it's all good here. Jeff Mader also expected to join us at some point. Heather Narduzzi sends her regrets. She has a very busy social life, so she will catch up with us.
She's not like us losers.
No, like
She's like, I got a life, boys. I got things to do, people to see, and we're all like, we'll be on the podcast.
I enjoyed her thoroughly in last week's Next Gen review, though. That was great.
she will be on this week's Next Gen review again, as we're doing peak performance this week on Thursday. But back to the Bleeding Edge, everyone. Okay, this is the second episode of the second season. This is the 12th episode overall. Came out in February 26, 2021. Directed by Michael Morris. Written by Matt Wolpert and Ben Nadivi, the other two co-creators of the show, who, Ronald D. Moore wrote the initial episode. In this episode, Margot must lead a seemingly impossible mission. Danielle wants to return to the moon, and Gordo grapples with his life on Earth. Those are the kind of maybe the high level things. Oh, and Molly got a big dose of radiation, and there's a lot going on with her too in this episode. So, Jody, there was all this talk last week. Is this episode boring? Last week's episode?
It's
but
better than last week's, in my opinion.
Was this better than last week, or not?
This was better than last week.
This was better. Okay, what did you enjoy?
I enjoyed all of it, really. I like to see the dynamic, especially the golf cart thing there with the guys golfing. I thought that was kind of interesting. How it ended up being a race and a competition at one point and all that. So I just like the camaraderie. I do like the whole what's her name, the girl that came back who's having issues
Molly?
now. Molly, yeah. So Molly with her light sensitivity, and something's about to go really bad with her, but you don't know yet what it is. But I assume anyway. I haven't seen past this, but
we're gonna have to see. It's not looking good.
It's not looking good based on this episode, but overall, I just thought the episode was really well done. There was some good scenes in it.
Okay. Well, here's another man who golfs left like Ed Baldwin does, and it's Kevin. Now,
Weirdos.
Did you? Was this an improvement for last week for you, Kevin?
I don't know. I It's not bad. I like the things that they're doing. I just think it's suffering. These first few episodes are suffering from the time jump for me. It's a lot of explaining what has happened.
And what is going on now, setting up all this new stuff.
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
like let's skip a bunch and then we'll spend half of the episodes talking about these things that you already missed.
This will become a trend in the show. Just warning you, where we do
Right.
spend, I think, a lot of the beginning part of a season setting up the arc in a way that the first season doesn't have to do as much because it's our timeline up until that point. So that we already
Yeah,
know.
it's not new.
We
Yeah.
understand a lot of it anyway with the Cold War,
Sure.
and, with all that kind of stuff that's happening.
Yeah, it just feels like a bit of like we got really into this show and now it started all over again.
Yeah,
And
it's a heat wave, Sam here. That's why I'm showing the guns. 20-inch, 24-inch pythons. Watch out. Yeah, but sorry, Kevin, go on.
you got to look cool to be cool.
That's right. Adam, you were also frustrated with the lack of action in the first episode. This didn't have much more action, really.
No.
This was a lot of exposition, a lot of character build up. Which I think you loved, right?
It was okay. Like, how could this series came out of the gate like racing,
Yes.
and it has slowed down dramatically, man. We got an old horse now. It's time to change over. I think we got to get some going. Now, like, there's some things that were great, and we'll get to it, I'm sure. But, I feel like Molly and Wubba, or whatever his name is, Wubba, would be a lot more
Wubba.
sick than, because they indicated last episode, if you're out there for 2 hours in this kind of storm, you're dead within days.
Well, they said, if you get like it was like 1,000 or 10,000 rads,
Yeah.
you're dead. You're dead for sure. He got like 200 or something.
200 and something, yeah.
I don't know.
And so did she,
Did you guys
obviously.
watch-
Yeah, maybe slightly less.
Well, maybe not. She wasn't out quite as long as him.
Yeah, and even if she had stayed inside
I
the
guess
lab
she
and
was,
two,
'cause
that
it-
wouldn't have been great anyway. For her probably long term. Yeah, lots. Yeah, in terms of how this radiation affects them.
Her,
Go ahead.
said her gauge stayed green in the tube.
Right, but it still got a pretty good dose, even though it was green. It was not. It wasn't like it was not really bad, but it was not good. It was yellow. I think would have been the appropriate color for Molly's, even inside the cave. Okay, well, Jeff Mader will be joining us in a bit. I want to ask him about John Lennon appearing in this episode. Him telling Ronnie just to stay in bed, like him and Yoko, and just get back to peace. Oh, we lost Adam. Is it? No, it's not 9 o'clock yet.
He seemed to be a bit delayed. He's probably just trying to reconnect.
Internet.
Yeah.
issue.
Well, that's when you're coming to us from the nation's capital. It's
High tech here
high
in
tech.
Canada.
Here in Canada. That's how it goes here in this alternate.
They got to get up there and
21st
adjust the
century.
dish. Oh, there he is. They figured out where they're supposed to point the dish. All right, great.
Adam, you're back.
Yes, can you hear me better now?
Yep.
You're not as delayed. Yes.
I had too many things open.
That's what it always is, So just focus, and we'll be good here. Okay. Anything else we need? I'm also frustrated by the lack of action in these first 2 episodes as well. It's mostly like the characters. This episode in particular was mostly about characters dealing with trauma, and sort of a lot of focus. Not just on Molly, but also on Margot. In this episode, Gordo certainly was kind of. They're all in like a haze. They're all like, "What's happening? I don't know what to do. I'm sort of blurry." And so the episode for me was a lot of that, where it was just, these people are all struggling with stuff over the last 8 or 9 years, as Kevin has mentioned. That is sort of a big deal here. That there's a lot to catch up on. Danielle's husband is dead. So we saw he was not doing great in season 1, and he didn't die right after season 1. There was many other years, but eventually he died. and it's sort
Well,
of.
I think she
rough.
says 8 years or something.
Yeah,
It's been hard
But he was never
past 8
happy
years or
over all
something.
those years. It just kind of seemed to have. It never got better, at least.
No.
Well,
and then he
things
died.
rarely do.
Yeah, well,
well,
sometimes they do.
sometimes, I guess, but-
Anyway, so let's jump into this episode in our screenshots as we pick up from season 2, episode 1, of course. Every little thing. This is the we got Molly here with her now back at Jamestown along with Wubbo, who have been hit with the radiation. She's getting examined by the medical personnel, as is he. Then we're getting flashbacks along the way to when she eventually was able to get him, drag him back to that rover or cave, and then drove him back here. We already see, as he's sitting here alongside her on the rover, his radiation band has turned red. He's still unconscious at this point as well. We get the close up on his, and then over to hers, which of course has been left green because she left it in the cave in the lava tube.
So I do want to point out these guys normally do a really good job with set pieces and props and stuff. This happens to be the worst thing I've ever seen them do on this show. This
Why?
watch thing. Oh, you can, even if you look close enough, you can see like where like nobody bothered to finish the one side, and it's a mess. It's garbage. But anyway.
They have to be able to open it up to get the cartridge out or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not an expert in.
I'm sure this was a real thing, but it's, or something like it anyway. But it just, I don't know. It just screamed.
I'll take your word for it.
It screamed intern made this prop more than anything.
Well, anyway, it's green. She's fudging it, Molly, as she's come back in here to Jamestown after the solar storm that, of course, hit everything, and everyone had to take shelter. Wobo got it the worst. Molly's still in a haze here. This blurriness coming up, as it's kind of like the sound ringing in her ears is also a big kind of a theme of this entire episode and a lot of these sequences with these characters, starting with this one. Molly, normally, large and in charge, kind of in a haze here. She's handing over. She's, we're also getting her testimony, I guess, or her reports back, like how she had to wait for the storm to pass before she went out and got him, which is a lie, of course. She went and got him, before that, gave her a much bigger dose.
Ed even says that later in the episode. He's like, yeah, that was a total lie. Like, that's not the Molly
But only
I
Ed
know.
figures that out.
Yeah.
Not even her husband figures it out. Yeah, so she's getting her thing here. We get the reading on Wubbo is like 200. Hers is like 90 or something. But she, in reality, hers is probably just 190 or 200 as well for the amount of time she spent up there with Wubbo. Then we get the conference later on here with the medical officer explaining that Wubbo is going to be sent home. He is going to likely develop cancer in the next couple of years and die. Like, he's probably only got a couple of years left, because of this exposure. But who knows? It's not a guarantee. But it's very statistically, I don't know. This is the first time somebody's been exposed to a solar storm of this kind, but in this manner. But they don't predict it to go very well. And then I think they eventually decide they're going to send Molly back as well, or at least more specifically, Ellen Wilson, which Molly's pissed about because she kind of knows she's never coming back here, I think, as well, because of this radiation exposure, which she's lying about, of course, at this point. But Ellen's like, you can come back in a year or something, once like everything's better. But Molly was trying to mine stuff in that cliff. She was, she had a whole operation, but that's been cut short here. And any other thoughts on this?
Well, she was looking for lithium. They mentioned
lithium. That's right.
But they made to believe that they're looking to mine it so they can, make batteries and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the whole setup for the episode. As we got our title card, "The Bleeding Edge." Oh, we lost Adam again. Well, and
he's on the bleeding edge of our internet technology.
This For All Mankind episode.
I thought him moving to like a better, like more
the nation's
populated
capital
city
should have the best internet.
better internet, but apparently it doesn't.
Oh
matter.
no, we definitely have better service here than Ottawa.
Seems to be that way. Adam's saying back in a minute. He'll be back. Okay. Well, we'll just keep trucking.
Now he's rebooting.
Yeah. So, okay, we got this news report here from Ronald Reagan talking about how the solar storm did escalate things up to DEFCON 3 because the satellites all got knocked out and there was all that tension. Like the action's more this kind of stuff, like the tension between the Cold War, the threat of nuclear war versus actually having that. Right, which I guess is exciting, but also it's a lot of talk. And
I'm more impressed that the Pokemon company actually has their own like news channel now. That's pretty cool.
Is that with the icon there?
The icon is like the
Paul
Pokeball from
Michaels?
Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm not sure which. Is this ABC? I don't know what this is.
It's supposed to be, I think, just a fake one.
We're getting also in the news report. The Soviets are saying that the Americans are a bunch of jerks for escalating tensions during the solar storm. So they're throwing it right back at them, condemning the U.S. things.
Some things never change.
No shit.
Right. A lot of rhetoric. We also see here that the person running against. Well, Reagan's already been reelected to his second term, so I guess this is the up and coming Democratic
Democrat.
Senator Gary Hart. Is this a real life person, Senator Gary?
I don't think so. I think this is a faked scene, but I could be wrong.
Hold on.
I probably am wrong. Let's be honest. But
Gary Hart is an American politician, diplomat, and lawyer.
There you go.
He was a front runner for the 1984 and 1980 Democratic presidential nominations until he dropped out because of his extramarital affairs. Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go.
So there's your little history lesson there on Gary Hart. And but he seems to be emerging as potentially in this timeline. Maybe he will be the nominee. We'll see. Anyway, so we get back to Margot here, who's having her briefing at NASA in Houston. Ed's here, of course, as the new head of the astronaut office in this timeline, talking to our new friend, the General. It's on his shirt, Bradford. The compassion Ellen on this iPad from the moon. So that's nice. Even though the 6 second delay doesn't seem to be.
See, now there you go. We got another prop that looks way better and does actually, meet the era. Like it, the fake silver panels on the side and all that.
This of course is far beyond really what the technology even was in the 80s, I would say.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Of course, technology is moving along faster here. There are they're definitely more nuclear power based in this timeline than in ours because it's 3 Mile Island.
But it makes you wonder where we would be if NASA if this was the true timeline, and
if we actually empowered scientists and engineers to do things. I don't know. It would be.
Instead of making the next revision of the iPhone with a slightly better, camera lens.
Or make the next bomb, if you focus more on exploration and science and discovery.
Innovation. It's a thing.
Innovation. All those things for all mankind. That's what we're here for. This meeting here, because I'm trying to remember what they were talking about in this earlier conversation here between.
They're running out of fuel up there. They're running it damaged whatever reactor they've got up there.
They get more plutonium up.
So they got to get more plutonium up, and he's like, "Well, you got to clear that through all of us first." And she's like, "Well, I don't have time for that," because she wants to put it on like one that's leaving in like 2 weeks or something like that.
Right. He's like, well, there are protocols. We're in a Cold War here, DEFCONs. Anyway, Thomas Paine comes in to pitch, the Soviets are all pissy with us. He's here for Reagan. So he tries to arrange this meeting in space, a handshake in space between the Soviets and the American astronauts. He wants to just pitch this to the Russians. So he's asking Margot to start formulating plans, but he expects that the Soviets will reject it and not go along with this plan, and then the Americans can look like heroes anyway.
How many millions of dollars for a handshake that could have been done on Earth?
No, we're gonna do it in space to show we're going beyond our terrestrial problems and concerns and moving into.
Quick, someone call Elon Musk. He must get rid of this waste.
Yeah. yeah, Margot's not happy with this, but Thomas Paine says, "Tough, you got to figure it out." They kind of saddled them with this by the end, but he says, "Talk to the hand, Margot."
Talk to me,
I
Mark.
don't know if that's what he said.
I don't
but
think that's actually what happened, but we'll go with it.
In my mind, he said that.
The heat does so many weird things to Dave.
It's a heat wave. We're going crazy here.
Tropical
I'm
heat
showing the
wave.
guns. It's a whole thing here.
It's madness.
Anyway, yeah, this is Margot's reaction by the end of it here. She's had a rough time. Anyway, I think they make a joke here to Ellen, like, can't you wait to get back here on Earth where everything's so much better? Anyway, we transition from, because she can see them through this video format here. And she hangs up, and she's having her last day here as the commander of Jamestown base. She has her little walk around. She says goodbye to this guy who is now, I guess, taking over for her. His name is Rossi. It's written right on his shirt, too. Very helpful here in NASA for that reason, and in the military for that matter. Anyway, so she was, he's getting ready to relieve her. Then I think she gives him. Oh yeah, she does like this whole like shaking the hands of the entire crew. It goes on for a few minutes. I think it's a bit excessive actually in the episode. But then she comes back to Rossi and she gives him the keys to the liquor cabinet, which is key to being the commander of Jamestown base. Because, Ed Baldwin had a date one night with that bottle of scotch here on Jamestown. It's kind of an old tradition here for the base. Anyway, so they're getting on the shuttle here. Molly, a couple other astronauts. Of course, Wubbo, our Dutch astronaut who got the huge amount of radiation, plus a pretty good gash on his head. I think Molly is, in her mind, thinking this is maybe the last time she's here on the moon, last time she'll be here in space. So this is her last.
So is he radiated or just radiation poisoning?
He's been hit with a lot of radiation. He doesn't have radiation poisoning, but per se, but he's going to likely develop cancer.
Because,
but would he be radioactive?
Yeah, and if that's the case, why is he in a shuttle with these guys?
I don't know if 200 would be enough to make you radioactive and to other people.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Not a clue. No.
Yeah, I would like. This is kind of a fun facts for Adam question, but I think that
Hopefully he comes back.
I would hope that they would try to observe some kind of science with that. That if somebody did have so much radiation that they themselves were giving off radiation, that they're probably dead at that point anyway. Anyway, so we get a cool shot here with Molly looking up through the window of the shuttle as we pull away, seeing the Earth and the moon here.
I did like that they showed the right windows though, because in the STS shuttle system, they have two windows that are above the cockpit that are actually for observation. So I like the fact that they use those ones and not the cockpit ones, because that would be stupid.
That looks good, yeah. Of course, this is the Enterprise, this name of the shuttle, as they established last episode, as it was in our timeline. Although they're using it a little differently. Adam, you're back.
Yes.
Well, and he's even pretty on time, too. Syncing.
This is a very strange computer. It just decided to update.
Well, that's how they do sometimes, I guess. They've got their mind of their own. Anyway,
And Jody, I can see him rolling his eyes at me there. It's okay. You can explain it to me later why I'm an idiot.
Linux, it's your friend. That's all I can say. But
so Adam, we're at the part of the episode where Molly is heading back here to Earth from the shuttle.
Pissed off. Yes.
Pissed off. She's not happy. Kind of looking.
she's gotta go home early.
Gotta go home early. Probably not coming back to the moon.
She's about to find some lithium.
Yeah, well, the lithium rush is off as far as Molly Cobb's concerned.
Apparently.
She heads back. We then transition to the outpost where Gordo is playing Space Invaders as Jody's playing Homage 2 here tonight.
Yeah, and he's not actually playing, because if he was playing, the copyright logo wouldn't be.
Oh, this is Asteroids, not Space Invaders.
Doesn't matter. It's still. Yeah. I know what you were talking about, but if you go back to the screenshot, it still has the copyright thing, which means he's not actually playing.
Atari
Or they've cut it weird because I don't remember that being there, but I could be
He's
wrong.
trying to beat the high score here of 2,180,000, or I don't know. Anyway, what happens here
21
is
million.
Gordo's playing asteroids. Ed shows up here to look on, but ultimately Gordo gets defeated just before he's able to beat the high score, which Ed kind of, says, "Oh, that's too bad, man." As we get the close up here, Ed has got the top score.
Ed has the high score, yeah.
At 2,180,000.
If you notice, Gordo has the second and third spots,
and
as well as the 7th and 8th.
And 7th and 8th. He's been trying for a while to catch
Oh,
Ed.
and 5th.
Why doesn't Ed have any other spot? That's kind of.
I want to know who the other people are.
Yeah, Ed only played once and has the all-time high score that no one can beat. Perhaps
He owns the restaurant.
Yeah, he's there all the time, so
he's
maybe he
rigging
just parks his ass on this thing.
Perhaps, yeah, he does own the restaurant. Anyway, he gives Gordo a beer here. This sometime in the daytime. As they're getting ready to meet up here with Danielle, we see a car here parked outside the outpost. I don't know what kind of car it is. The door opens, and then it shuts, and then we see it's Danielle is trying to get out but can't. This will be explained to us inside that her husband has died in the passing years, and she's the funeral has been somewhat recently. She's trying to find the strength to get in there to go see Gordo and Ed, but she turns to her pocket Bible, her purse Bible, to find a random passage to try and get her through it.
This was the most relatable scene for Kevin, by the way.
Of course.
Kevin messaged me while we were watching this, and he was just like, I do this all the time.
He knows that verse.
Pull out my pocket Bible when I get out of my car, and
yeah,
I just throw down a verse, yo.
Have you ever met the altar boy like Kevin Millard? Anyway, Kevin,
known as the saint in our circles.
She randomly picks one here. Even after she reads it, which doesn't help, she does have a
shocking that it didn't help.
I don't know what's going on here. So then we get before she walks into the outpost, Gordo and Ed kind of explaining what's happened with her husband to us, or in sort of a passing manner.
I hate that I like Gordo now. I really hate that.
Well, gotta give people a chance.
I like what they've done to him, and I like that these three have remained friends. Like they even say, like,
"Hey, Bob."
She says, well, yeah, but she also says, I need more than just meeting you guys here every couple of weeks,
Yeah.
So they're like, this is an ongoing, regular thing.
Right.
They're a crew that stayed a crew. Yeah.
They stay a crew.
These guys have come a long way from the days where they could never conceptualize having a woman on the team.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And now the two of them were like, best friends with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're admiring here the plant that now exists in the outpost now that Ed and Karen own the place. Can
we take a moment to remember that macrame is a terrible thing and never to allow it to happen again?
Okay, sure.
That's what macrame is.
All right.
It's all over my grandmother's house, like
It's
everywhere.
brutal.
Well, Karen thinks it helps, liven up the place. There's no pool table anymore either, which even though Danielle never played pool, she's upset about.
Which seems like the stupidest thing in the world. This is a bar, isn't it?
It's a restaurant too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's a bar and restaurant now.
It's a family restaurant.
Yeah.
It's a family
And a
restaurant.
Oh. Like an astronaut museum here. So they're talking to Danny here about her husband and everything with him and how sad it was, and how she getting through those years was so tough. But there's almost a relief here for her.
You don't see a lot of this actress in these last couple episodes, but when you do see her, she's really great.
Yeah. So she wasn't in the last episode at all, right? So
no.
Yeah.
We're catching up a lot with her here, and the guys feel for her. But then she says, I'm ready to move on as well, and I would like to come back to NASA, effectively, and come and be an astronaut again. I don't want to just be working a desk. I want to go back to space, and kind of pursue what I was doing.
She wants to see what they created.
See what they created, yeah. Because basically all three of them are now retired retired from active space duty, at least.
When they were there, it was a single room pod, right? So
Right, and it's much bigger now. So she wants to go back and check it out, even though she helped design a lot of the expansions over the years that did take place there. It's not the same as being there on the moon.
I do like Ed's reaction though, because Ed's reaction isn't like, "Do you think you can do it anymore?" Like that kind of thing. Like it was more just a, "Yeah, okay, I know you're capable of doing this."
Yeah,
that
well,
kind
we'll
of
see
thing.
here that Ed is going to look out for his friends, in particular these two friends, quite a bit. And help them out. Ed's got his code. Ed's got, for better or worse, he kind of goes by what Ed thinks, and he's like, yeah, maybe I could.
I
Get
like
this.
Ed more now that he has already had his kid killed and he's got the other. Like, he seems to be in a good level at this
Well,
point. I don't
he's
know.
got
if
a
that
daughter
changes.
now, or adopted
Yeah.
daughter.
He is living the life.
He's back to being fun Ed.
But he's not back in space right now. He's not
Nope.
piloting a ship right now. Anyway, so there's cheers here. Danny's coming back to being on active space duty, and Ed's allowing this to happen. They all celebrate. We then transition here to what we think is an astronaut on the moon, but guess what? It's not, because in the reflection of the visor, we see it's like a set. It comes up here, and it's Tracy. It's Tracy Stevens. As she's getting her photo shoot for a new Rolex ad that's going to go into Times Square.
This is the
Consistently
most.
looks like
This is the most '80s look. Like they really nailed the '80s with.
they
her
got
look
it pretty
right
good on
there.
this.
They,
one, yeah.
the whole episode, I think she's looks like Meg Ryan.
They do got kind of a Meg Ryan vibe thing going
Yeah.
on, but I absolutely hate her now, and I used to really like her.
So
No,
you lose. Why do you lose respect here for Tracy in this episode?
We'll see in the next couple seats.
Okay, not from. Well, here she's at this.
Oh
the
no,
photo shoot.
she's got to make bank. That's fine.
Yeah. Also, I want to talk about the photographer too, who was like, "Oh, those last couple, great." I'm just like the way. Do photographers still talk like this, or did they ever, or is this just a cliche of the past? You see, in Austin
I don't know.
Powers, he does this guy like, yeah, graph me.
I'm clearly
I don't know. No one's ever asked me to model anything.
I'm clearly too pretty to be in Vogue and stuff, so I don't get I don't get many calls anymore.
Anyway, Tracy's then looking at her. She's got champagne. She's looking at a big engagement ring from Sam.
I love
Colin,
this though. This
the
is
retro
great.
cell phone.
The fact that they have touchscreen telephones in what is this, 83, 84?
83.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is a
83.
problem though. This is cool that they showed this and everything. But do you really think that asteroids then would be the game of choice?
So you think video games should be more advanced as well?
But it's an arcade. You can have old games in arcades. It's not.
Fine.
well, the game's only a couple years old at that point, like 4 years.
Yeah,
old.
it said 1979.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
79 is when Asteroids came out. So, yeah.
Well,
Like
I
they
don't
didn't
know.
have
I
like
thought it would be.
they didn't have a Pong in there or anything. But
Adam's taking the case here. If the cell phone technology is a little more advanced in this timeline, why aren't the video games?
It'd be great if they would have shown a more.
They should have been at Super Nintendo by now. In your
Street
opinion?
Fighter. Street
can we
Fighter.
zoom in on this screen for a minute? Come
Where?
on, Dave. Enhance. There we go.
Right.
All right.
Right click.
So why does it say phone is off on the top? That's a little weird. No
No sync.
service. So it's completely off.
Sam's calling. It has no area code though. Isn't that weird?
Well, no, that's not weird. There was a
No.
time when we didn't use area codes, Dave.
At my
Hey, does the
grandparents'
date
place,
does the date match?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes,
it's up
it says
the top.
March
March 20th.
28.
83. But they already established it was already May of 83. So this cell phone does not have the right date. It's
Well, it doesn't have the news. It doesn't even have service right now, and
Well,
it's
it
phone
has-
is also off.
I was potentially born 2 days earlier.
And if you notice, it says it has no signal strength, but yet Sam can call. Oh, that's Sam's number.
Sam, you were calling.
Sam, we're gonna call you.
You played the dead stream, Jody.
I have no idea what that means, but all right. But probably
You are playing the dead stream, Jody.
the dance stream.
Anyway, Tracy goes off here. We transition over to Gordo, who is doing his same act here, his same story
Same
that he was giving
speech
to the
again.
Rotary Club previously in Little Rock, but now it's the Shriners Club, who have fun little hats. Whatever happened to these fun hats they used to have in these clubs, everybody? This was something.
Some of the leaders still wear them. I don't think all of the.
Is it?
All of the
No,
I don't know, man. I walk into a room and I see that. That is a room I am leaving.
Shriners? Are you kidding? Those
Shriners,
guys run around in little cars and parades.
No.
Like, come on! I would
some
totally
clubs
do
have
No
that.
way.
vests. Some
bet
clubs
those
have.
guys party
The sad
hard.
point is, though, as people are getting older and like the young guys, Kevin, aren't enrolling.
Is Kevin
I
a young
wonder
guy?
why.
Well, I think that's why the Kevin was interjected in the middle of the sentence.
Yeah. Okay. So Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Shriners are dying here. Yeah.
Kevin.
So, and everything Gordo is saying is killing in the front of this crowd. They are laughing their balls off.
All the more reason they're probably all completely drunk at this point. I bet these guys party hard.
We see Gordo is pounding the drinks. He finishes the drink. He signals to the waitress while he's doing his whole thing to give him another. Like he's got the
Anybody
whole
who's
train.
listening to this or watching it, I want to know in the comments if you know Shriners and have you partied and they are as hard as I think they are, because I think they are.
Are the hats cool or not? Do you like them? If you
They're
have
fezzes. Of course they're cool.
They're yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They are fezzes. It seems like I don't know. It seems like a relic of another era to me in some ways. But I think that this still goes on today, and it was definitely in the '80s. Would have been
Maybe the Fez has been retired because of its use in
common.
Doctor
Yeah, like the Civitans wore vests and that kind of thing
Who.
at
True.
the club. You know, like
The water buffaloes wear water buffalo hats with horns.
right there. Who's the Stonecutters?
Kevin eye roll I could feel from here.
Kevin wouldn't want to join one of these clubs, I don't think. So.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, okay. So the word social and Kevin are two things that I put together exclusively.
It was like, if there's a whole thing where I gotta wear a hat like a fez in the beginning, that's no.
If there's an
Oh, no.
outfit,
If everyone has to wear a hat, you are about to get indoctrinated into something. All right?
Yeah.
I'm leaving that fucking
that's
room.
true.
You know what, Kevin? I think we should have a talk about this sometime because I agree with you. The secret handshakes
Yep.
and
Yeah. Well,
Getting
maybe
off,
it's
like-
the Illuminati. I don't know.
I have a friend who's a Mason who thinks he's going to learn all the secrets to everything in the universe as long as he just keeps going. And I'm
No,
like,
you're
dude,
just gonna
this is a
keep
waste
paying
of
money and
time.
you're gonna eventually
Yeah.
have stickers all over your car. That's it.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
read
and
masonry for
Gordo's
everybody.
having a rough go here at the Shriners, and we see here, was he having sex with somebody or something?
Oh yeah,
The waitress.
Yeah.
Waitress.
The waitress, of course.
And he
That's-
clearly wasn't that into it,
no,
or his bits ain't working.
he didn't
Little bit
see.
too.
He didn't seem to be,
No, he's out of it.
bringing his A game here.
I love what they're doing to Gordo. I just
He's having a rough
Me too.
go.
Yeah. He's
and-
playing it well, and he's really dove into the role. It's good. I like it.
Yeah, where he was like 8 years earlier, which seemed to he was up a bit on the upswing. Him and Tracy seemed to be getting better, but
Yeah.
no, it eventually did not work out with them. We see first Molly and the Enterprise crew on the shuttle come back to Earth. I think this is a lot of real footage from.
Yeah, it looked like real footage.
It's all
to me.
real, but the first image that they show you has the guards on, which means that's actually not a shot from them coming in. That's a shot from them going up. Yeah, that one there with the guards.
Oh, okay.
So those
That's-
guards are put on when they taxi these things off of planes. So that was one of the test ones.
Oh, okay, so they just flipped it around.
They flipped it,
basically.
yeah. They used it. Who cares? It doesn't really matter, but it's I love all the entry stuff and everything though, because that's probably
It looked pretty
realistic.
cool.
Yeah.
Although of course it takes you right back, and this is
the
footage
shuttle
from that.
program was a fantastic thing. I loved it, but unfortunately
Yeah.
it's gone now.
Molly's home, and we're seeing the beginning of her effects here. She's back in the magnetic field of Earth to protect her from the sun, but the sun did a number on her technically, and the brightness seems to be a factor.
I like how she's playing this though. I like the actress does a really good job with it.
Yeah, she's
It's
really
not
good.
too overdone, but it's also like it's shown more as a real weird inconvenience for her, which is something that I think it would be to start, and then it will get gradually way worse. But
Yeah, well, during this whole scene when she's coming out of the shuttle onto the tarmac here, like her ears are ringing, she can't hear well, like she's in a haze again.
Just sensory overload. Yeah.
Ellen's like, doing a speech. We can't hear it from her perspective. So it's I like what they're doing here, but it's like a slow build. You're kind of waiting for like the really actiony stuff to happen. They're taking and this is part of that, right? Where Molly's going through her experience here, the effects of what she did to save Wubbo. We get to see Wayne Cobb. He's back, everybody. Not with a mustache anymore, but a full beard, and he's.
Don't worry, he'll be smoking weed with Karen in no time.
Yeah,
he's been doing that keto though.
He's been doing the
He
keto
has been.
now.
Look at how skinny he is now.
80s Wayne Cobb is, he's a little bit more svelte. Anyway, but Molly doesn't even recognize him or hear his voice at first until he's finally like hugging her and saying hello, and then she kind of comes out of it a bit. So
Just goes to show you, children, pot isn't always bad.
Right. He asks her, she's okay.
She played this really, you hear it in her voice and everything, really vulnerable, and you never see that from Molly.
No.
Yeah. No, that's why I said the actress is really good at it.
And Wayne's like, "Are you okay?" And she's just like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." So he's like, "Okay, let's get you home. They're not going to miss you here for the press conference, and let's just get back." We then go to the Baldwin house where Karen is making breakfast for everyone. She's making smiley faces with the bacon and eggs. So Karen's come a long way, but she's still got
but 2 pieces of bacon.
I
What
know,
is she, a psycho?
So stingy on the bacon.
This is Texas. Have you
This
seen
is almost as bad as that spaghetti.
She might be like, okay, that's just for the first course. You can add more bacon from the communal plate after. But
I'm pretty sure if I go for breakfast anywhere in Texas, I'm getting more than 2 pieces of bacon.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, I don't know. Karen.
They'll probably look at me funny for ordering it, not ordering a steak with it.
Well, I mean, they are pretty fit.
So we see a couple things here on the newspaper that Ed is reading. Let's enhance here. We got calls for freedom echo nationwide. The Soviets back Torrijos. I don't know what that means.
Torrijos.
The CCCP increasingly concerned as fault.
So he was the Panamanian military leader from Panama from 29 to 81.
Okay, so
29 to 81.
But this is 83, so he must have still stayed in power in this timeline.
Sorry, he was born in 29.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that's quite a legacy.
I see. Well, upstairs, Kelly, who we just met in the previous episode, is looking at a brochure here. It turns out for Annapolis Military Academy. That's the Naval Academy where her father went and Gordo went, and that's where we're going to catch up with Danny Stevens later.
Gordo's kid, yeah.
And so she dreams of going to the Naval Academy, as many young children do, of course, and being a sailor.
It's not a flyer; it's like a full-fledged,
it's a full book
catalog.
In the previous episode, they were talking about just not military universities and colleges, more like just standard ones, like and so.
William and Mary. That's where she wanted. That's where Karen wanted her to go.
Right. Yeah. Edward and Mary. Right. That's what it's called.
William and Mary. It's in Virginia, Williamsburg.
Yeah. So anyway, so we see what's her name? The daughter, Kelly. Kelly hides the Annapolis booklet in her dresser drawer as she leaves the room, and we see this Tom Petty poster, which look pretty good. As we then transition off there over here to this house, which is we're back to the Wilson house. Well, I guess not back to this first time. We're seeing Ellen and Larry Wilson, as Ellen has now returned from the moon, and she's with Larry. Of course, we have Linda Park from Star Trek Enterprise.
That was awesome to see.
Was here the newscaster talking about.
I actually had to go back because I'm like, that looks so much like her, and I went back and I'm like, oh, it is her.
This is the best part of this whole front of this episode.
Yeah, well, it was nice.
Did you see Linda Park on screen?
Interesting too, because she came from Star Trek Enterprise, which was Brandon Braga's show, but this is Ronald D. Moore's show, so they never really worked together. before this. Like, you know, they're both Star Trek alumni, but it was nice to see her in the mix here.
Well, this is just a fill part, but you know, it's still nice to see.
Little cameo here. John Lennon on screen saying, "This is." I was hoping Jeff would be here by now to say, is he's telling Ronnie Reagan to, not make war, make peace, and stop with this Cold War shenanigans, and let's work hard.
This might be the most horrific thing about this alternate universe, is John Lennon being alive still.
Well, why would you say that, Jody? Isn't that a good thing?
I have many reasons. Let's move on.
You would rather John Lennon's dead?
I
many
can
good
handle
reasons.
anymore.
I can't share them with you, but it would be much better.
I don't want it. Well, I just don't. We don't have that kind of time. And
Okay.
I'd rather do that in front of Jeff.
We'll get it. We'll do that. We'll save that for another podcast, I suppose.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe.
But anyway, Ellen and Larry here. Is Ellen having pizza for breakfast?
No, she's got toast with jam on it.
Straw jam toast. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Larry's
But pizza would've been
boyfriend
acceptable,
here
too.
comes to breakfast as well. He's wearing his suit. There's some kissies here from Larry, and I don't really get his name. I'm not sure on the. But,
it doesn't matter. He's
matter.
clearly a fling.
He's a fling
so
here.
weird.
I don't think they start talking. He's not a fling.
He's been trained. He knows to go at the back door and to not draw attention. And there's certain things, all worked in here. But which Larry is happy with as well. She says, "Is this like, are you in love? Are you falling for this guy?" And he goes, "No." And then they kind of have a big laugh. Anyway, so she's getting ready for her first day here as a member, not as an astronaut, but working at NASA as on the administration side, deputy administrator. And Larry gifts her a briefcase, like an old school 80s briefcase, which is what you need to look the part. Adam, did you ever have a briefcase such as this one? My father did.
My father did too. I don't really like those ones. I like the soft ones.
Yeah, like they fell out of fashion, I guess, when laptops came along, or I'm not exactly sure when.
I don't know. I find these very rigid. There's nowhere to hang them over your shoulder. You got to hold them all the time.
Yeah, they're not. They had little combination locks on them, and
it's like the suitcases used to be before they had wheels on them. Like you used to carry it on them. Terrible.
Right, it's like they didn't know, like maybe a strap.
Savage.
Anyway, so Ellen now rocking her brand new suitcase from Larry.
Good looking briefcase though.
Yeah, Larry's not working at NASA anymore. Where he's now working somewhere else. But Boeing. And Larry was also talking about how now you're going to be dealing with Congress people and politicians, and that you're going to need to look more official now. So this is to get you going. Anyway, so Ellen then heads into NASA now as in her new role, signs in here at the front desk, rocking her briefcase as she, looking up.
What was that pause for?
I don't know.
She wants to be there.
Maybe she wants her photo up there.
She wants to be on the wall.
Yeah. That is exactly.
Because she's the deputy director. She's not the director.
Mm-hmm. Precisely. So she's heading in to meet with her new team here. Oh.
Jeffrey Tubes.
Bringing him in.
You know what kind of also bugs me about this show so far is it's always springtime in Houston. Imagine today. It's like that for 8 months of the year down there, hot as hell, and they're always in sweater vests and looking quite cool.
Yeah, because you're right. Houston's hot as balls. But let's go. Jeff Mader coming in.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
That's good. Coolant leak in the house.
We got a coolant leak.
Jeff, so we're almost we're halfway probably through the episode at this point in terms of plot. We just kind of went through this particular section a couple minutes ago, so I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Where John Lennon is on the TV during the Larry and Ellen at breakfast scene, talking about make war, not love, Ronnie Reagan, trying to end the Cold War. Would it be a better timeline if John Lennon had lived and not died?
Well, I'm pretty biased on that one.
You're biased against him, like Jody Simpson?
No. Well, you know what? There is an argument to be made that, only when people die, right? Everyone, all you only have fondness.
As a martyr, you mean?
Well, not a martyr, but like you only look back at like all the good things because and you think like, because he was a complicated fellow, so he wasn't exactly the best dad to his first kid, and
Well, I guess would he have been a leader of peace and revolution potentially to end the Cold War? As they're trying to portray here.
Not in a minute.
No.
No.
I think he would have been like a lot like a lot of musicians that are like activists.
He would have ended up being a spokesperson for like a chip company or something.
Would he would have been more Paul McCartney-esque as he got older?
Yeah.
Just doing commercials.
Probably more like George Harrison. Like
yeah, okay.
That way, where he was like more about spirituality and more about like mantras and that.
And he would retire as like a yoga instructor or something. Like that would have been where he was.
Okay.
Well, no one's gonna give a shit about Beatles type music in the 80s, especially the crazy ass 80s.
Well, didn't Wings do quite well in the 80s?
Oh, Wings was just the 70s.
Wings was just the 70s?
Yeah.
Did Paul, Ringo, or George have much success in the 80s?
They all had songs.
George certainly did, and then he had Traveling Wilburys.
Yeah, the Traveling Wilburys did very well
for a couple of years, right? You had that.
And then
Ringo.
Paul McCartney was doing like team ups with Michael Jackson, say, and through the 80s and other things.
But those weren't the traditional Beatles melody type music. Like it. Yeah,
but regardless, they still had success through the 80s, all of them. And Ringo didn't he start and Jeff, he's left now, but I think he started his all-star band then.
He did. The all-star band toured throughout the 80s, right? Which was more of like a concert type band that went, had members of the band. It had like Billy Preston. It had all kinds of like, rock acts from the various bands working with them there.
Now imagine if John Lennon was singing in that. That would suck.
Maybe he'd be in the Traveling Wilburys. I don't know with them all. All right, well let's catch it. Since we've lost Jeff, we can go back to where we were. Ellen's coming in here to me with Thomas Paine, General Bradford, and of course Margot. Welcome her to the team as part of the the White Collar Alliance here as they're heading in. Of course, I
think it's funny. They don't have a chair for her, so she's dragging like the.
She's sitting in one of the guest like little one-seater
sofas. Like things. They know she's gonna be there. What the fuck?
This is weird. Is this something like?
Well, I got the impression this was like an impromptu meeting. This wasn't
she wasn't normally. She's not here. They didn't plan to have a seat for her, so she's the most junior member here. She's like in this little couch, but kind of behind.
Just sit there and learn.
Yeah, kind of being dismissed even by Margot.
And then she starts talking, which is such a bad idea during that.
Right, because they're talking about taking money from the Mars program to pay for the repairs they need to put into Jamestown and put in more radiation shielding in as well is part of the discussion. And Ellen's like, you can't take from the Mars program. You can't do that. And Thomas Paine just kind of stares her down and says, oh, yeah, well, what, this is going to be. Margot gives her a look like,
who are you to tell me I'm Thomas Paine?
Well, Jeff's with us again. So we're now at this part. Yeah. Ellen's trying to change things up, Jeff. She's she's a
maverick.
She's a maverick. She's here to shake things up, fight for the program.
For now.
In the middle of this meeting, Margot gets a little message here regarding Aleda Rosales, Jeff's favorite character. Where's Aleda? is really coming up.
We get even less of her this season. Just her name.
Her name on a piece of paper, which is ominous. So much so that Margot walks out of the meeting while it's happening on. She goes to her assistant and says, what's this about? And she says, I don't know who this Aleda Rosales is. My sister knew who that is. Margot says, no. Walks away.
It must be her father calling, right? Because she says
I think so. I can't remember actually what it's about, but so Margot's got a ringing in her ears here, as well as this idea of Aleda, someone she hasn't thought about in many years. She says, is coming to mind. The young helpless child you said no to and never followed up with again. See what happened to her.
That one.
That one, the one where the father.
Well, that Jeff longs for more scenes with.
Right.
You know what? Like I've seen ahead, and like yes, Aleda's more important later on, but like my God, The amount of nonsense.
They got to get this. They got to set her up, Jeff. That's how it goes. So anyway, so Margot here. We then after this, the scene in Ed Baldwin's office, the astronaut office, is he's getting all the assignments here. Look at the ASCADs, figuring out his next moves as he gets a visit here from Tracy Stevens, who he hasn't seen in a while, who is apparently going up on a mission, and she's missed a lot of training sessions. Because she's too busy modeling Rolexes and whatever. She's got that Meg Ryan hair, Jeff, like a Harry Met Sally sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that is not far off.
She brought a mug here for Ed as a gift. It was Ed McMahon's mug, Adam, and she stole it from the Tonight Show, as you do.
Yes, sir.
As I'm sure many have been done.
See, okay, I never saw an episode of the Tonight Show really ever, like with the Johnny Carson version, and I certainly never knew. I only knew Ed McMahon from Star Search, and that, like, to me, that was his whole thing. And
No, his whole thing was sitting on the edge of the couch every night. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It never made any sense.
Never made sense for him to be there either. It's not like he really added anything great to it.
He was the Andy Richter of the Johnny Carson show.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Andy Richter was the Ed McMahon of the Conan show.
Yeah.
So anyway,
But Andy Richter had more of a role. Because I did watch the Carson show.
Yeah, he'd be in skits and stuff.
and
Whereas
Andy
like,
Richter was
Ed
one of
McMahon
the
barely
writers
did
as
it.
well. But
Yeah, that's true.
anyway, I don't know. Was Ed McMahon a writer on the show?
No.
I don't think so.
Was he like Johnny Carson's friend?
He didn't even go. He didn't even say, here's Johnny. It was another guy who said that. Like,
He wasn't even the Johnny
Yeah.
guy.
No, he wasn't even the announcer.
Anyway,
I can't remember the announcer's name.
Tracy
he
might
did
have.
the sweepstakes too. The Reader's Digest sweepstakes.
Publishers Clearinghouse. Yeah.
No, Publishers.
And bloopers and practical jokes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did the clip show thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Perfect
Tracy
effective
Stevens,
cookie.
she think when she Ed McMahon, she's like, I'll bring Ed something for his namesake to make up for the fact I've missed a lot of my training assignments. And Ed is a little bit taken with the Hollywood effect here, but he gives Tracy a bit of the cold shoulder, especially once Gordo comes up. The subject of him, the fact that she's engaged now, and she gives it to him here, where he's like, you could have told Gordo in advance. He's like, oh, and you, all the years he was screwing around on me with those Cape cookies, you never told me anything about that, Ed, did you? Right? And he's got nothing to say about that.
I wonder if anybody makes actual cookies called Cape cookies. I'm gonna look into that.
Look into that, Jody.
I'm on it. The important stuff gets done by me, not Adam. So,
Kevin, how would you how would you
Bugging me tonight,
characterize
Jody.
Ed's conduct here in this encounter here with Tracy? In his sort of
it's weird. He's upset because she hurt his friend, but her response is right on.
yeah.
Like,
And Ed knows it, and he's like, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Let's.
but you see, he has the mug with him when he goes into the next meeting, so he's forgiven her.
yeah,
he's-
he's like, the
he's
mug
fine
makes it
with
okay. Of course, yeah. The next
Yeah.
scene here, here's Ed as now in the role that Deke was in season 1 as the head of the program. He's got all these astronaut candidates, the ASCANs coming in, their first day of school, basically. Gives the speech that we heard from Deke in the first season.
Same joke. They're
Same
all
joke.
laughing.
So funny. ASCANs. We got Molly here at the back of the room, who's just kind of mouthing every word that Ed's saying. She's heard it a million times. She's kind of just having a little ball here.
So there is a company called Cape Cookies.
Okay, cookies.
They've been around since '92, and they make quite a lot of cookies. Funny enough, one of their most popular one is the Double Delight, apparently,
Oh,
which perfectly is in line with everything we've been talking about. All right,
of course.
I'm happy.
I'm happy for you, Jody.
That was a good outcome, Dave. I'm happy.
Good stuff. Well, we gotta get to the overhead projector here, Jody.
Oh, okay.
As Ed Baldwin is giving the presentation here, all the the shuttle ordnance, telemetries, and
Same as always.
Here's another thing. Do you think that this technology would have stalled? Because this is the same technology they had 10 years ago.
that's another.
They've had this technology for longer than
If
10
they
years.
can make a cell phone with a touch screen, why are we still using overhead
Why are we
projectors in the
using overhead
classroom?
projectors with
It's still 1983. It's still only.
Well, we had these in 1983. I'm just saying, in their
We had
reality, where they have they have Zoom calls for crying out loud between this, this moon and back.
They do, but that's an expensive item. I think that not everyone has perhaps yet. It has.
Maybe it exists. It's just they haven't got there yet, Adam.
Do you think they're at CD level yet, or are they still VHS level and cassettes, or it's hard to say.
I think they're probably still rocking 8 tracks at this point. They didn't
83
focus on the music.
was 83 still 8 tracks? Okay.
Oh no, 83 was. Well, I think even CDs technically existed in 83.
Cassettes. We were still on cassettes.
Mostly cassettes. Yeah.
That was the main one, yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the golf portion of the episode.
This would have been
Uh,
that too.
So,
Yeah. Ed Baldwin, a lefty shooter like Kevin, it's super tall here. He looks so tall in this friggin' tee shot. He nails it down the fairway, Jeff. Here with the Cobbs, Wayne and Molly Cobb, as well
This
as
is great.
Karen.
Karen and Ed are dressed to the nines, and Wayne, who's the best golfer of the four of them, is
the pothead.
He's at least dressed like a golfer.
He looks the most golf out of all of them.
Yeah, Molly really doesn't look like a golfer, really, but she's here. I thought it was interesting. They went through the process of them all giving the tee shots here.
Where's a bucket hat golfing?
Exactly. That's not the look, right?
Chris Beaton.
Chris Beaton would probably wear that.
Oh, Beats for sure.
What about Karen's outfit, everybody, with the pink skirt and the visor, and she's pulling it off here.
It's fine. The
I feel like
visor is completely the wrong
their
color.
outfits are a little 90s or 2000s.
Yeah.
Not
Are you
80s
happy?
enough.
Are you happy with this hat and this outfit, Dave?
It doesn't. It's
should
not
be
the same
pink.
color pink.
It's not the right pink. They
Salmon. She's wearing a salmon hat.
So it's 1983. They didn't know yet. So I'll.
They didn't know about matching hats.
They knew.
They knew.
Bastards.
Jeff, what did you think of Wayne's big, huge tee shot here? Who knew?
Had a nice swing.
Yeah, it was
He's got a great form, good swing. He's definitely dressed the best.
Ed did not like it. Ed showed up here.
Karen and Molly loved it. That was the best part.
They're in Texas. This is presumably, you can probably play golf year round in Texas, but it's still going to be fairly hot no matter what the season is, right? I haven't been to Texas, so.
It's supposed to be May or June now. Yeah. So
where is it filmed?
But why is he wearing a fucking sweater?
L.A.
They film it in L.A.
He's got a sweater on. He must be sweating balls.
Yeah, I don't know why. Even in L.A., it would presumably be kind of warm.
No, L.A. is not like Houston though. Houston would be humid, so much humidity. Where L.A. is at least pretty nice.
It's a dry.
Beautiful climate.
There's the whole thing here at the end too, where after Wayne hits that tee shot, Ed has to pass them in the golf cart to show he's the best.
Well,
Yes,
it's Molly that's driving though. He's going past Molly.
That's why Ed has to have the best score in space.
Yeah. Ed's got to be ahead of Molly. Yeah.
Right.
I thought that was
We then head over to the Stevens, who they're cooking up steaks here. We're looking at this sizzling meat here. Is Gordo's kind of in a.
I love his
fog.
little daydreams though. I love how they've just kind of the monotony of his life and how terrible it really is.
They're getting ready for the return here of we got the new aged up Danny Stevens, played by this guy, whose name I forget. He's even got the white hat to go with it. As he's introduced. This actor will continue on for quite a bit after this, but so he's his first episode coming in. Jimmy here is in the background as he greets his father. He's a midshipman. He's only a cadet still here from the Annapolis Naval Academy, learning to become a pilot.
Isn't that Danny?
Danny Stevens, yeah.
That's Danny Stevens, yeah.
Yeah, and Jimmy's the other one. the brother.
Jimmy is the one that's got the headphones on right now.
Yeah, he doesn't even know his brother's home. You know,
And he's still fucking with this sign. I don't know what he's trying to achieve here. It
it's
says
already
what
up.
it's supposed to say.
It
Move
already
on.
says welcome home. Anyway, calls
it
over
works.
Jimmy here, who they call shitheads or bird shithead.
Bird shit, which is appropriate for this
And
character.
Chipper. Yeah, bird
Yeah.
shit and Chipper.
Yeah, but they give themselves a hug here and they say hello to each other again. As Gordo's getting a beer for Danny, guess who walks in? It's Tracy. Mom's here to greet her son, and you know, Gordo's seeing his ex-wife. I think presumably, well, definitely since the first time he found out she's getting remarried. So you know, she says hi to Danny, and the whole family's here together again. Everybody and aged up.
It's a nice
the
scene.
kids.
I don't think it goes
Nice
too
little
long.
scene. Gordo, you know, comes over and says hello to Tracy and congratulates. Well, he does a toast to Danny and then first, right? And then he does another toast here for Tracy and congratulate her on her engagement.
And this is why I now like Gordo more than I like Tracy.
Yeah, and then you know, she was like, "But where's that real Gordo?" And he's like, "Well," she's like, "You could have done a lot better," and you know, or something like that. It was,
Yeah,
you
he
know,
says you could have done better, but there's no accounting for taste.
There's no accounting for taste. Yeah, see you later. So everything go there, and then we head back to the golf course here. Up and looking up at the sun here is Molly. You know, still thinking about her experience of that solar storm.
And I love how she has the aviators, but they're the aviators with the same type of tint that the astronaut helmets have. I'm
yeah.
like, that's so cool.
Yes, yeah, and just that, you know, how
Nice little touch.
how that what that storm was like on the moon versus what it was on Earth was so different too. Anyway, Ed has to use reading glasses now, which Molly, you know, is making
She
fun
makes
of
fun of him
about,
for.
right.
And she said, and I think she's going to be accurate here because she says the line, I'm going to have 20/20 vision until the day I die.
right.
And I'm thinking she's probably going to die soon. So she's probably right on that.
We'll see, Jody.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, but walking along here, Ed basically confronts Molly one-on-one, saying, "I read the report of what happened up there," and she said, he's like, "I know you, and there's no way that you just hung out in that cave while Wubbo was just hanging out there being cooked by the storm." Right. And, you know, but she's like, "Are you saying that I would lie to a physician or lie to the, you know, to the program? I would be
Flight
expelled
surgeons
immediately."
and all that. Yeah.
So she admits to nothing, but basically Ed saying like, you did something. There's no way you didn't, but I can't, you know, and she's not going to cop to it here. Anyway, and then eventually, what does Ed smell? What you better not, you don't want to know. Wayne and
Smells the ganja.
Wayne and Karen getting baked here at the golf cart. You know,
Well, the best thing is she's sitting there having this big speech, and then she figures out that like there ain't no amber on that on that joint anymore, and she can't smoke it. like if that isn't the most accurate thing I've ever seen on screen for a stoner, I don't know what is.
it felt real. It felt like the writers really went.
It felt
for it.
very real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back, he's out here and getting things. Anyways, then over to the Stevens again, as they're having their barbecue dinner here on the back.
I do love the fact that when they shot this, they shot it in a way where Gordo's actually much further away from everybody else.
Right.
And you see it on the side shots and stuff just to kind of be more like a symbolization of like, you know, where he is in his headspace. I think
His
that's pretty cool.
isolation from the fan.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's
also kind of
isolated
pulled
from
away on the
everybody.
table here in the wide.
Yeah,
shot. You
that's
see
what I'm saying. He's further away, yeah.
Yeah, but they're talking about, I guess, you know, Danny's first year at the academy, the hazing, those kinds of stories are being shared. They're having a good time together. Everyone's getting along. Eventually, I think things wrap up here. Tracy leaves, and Gordo's like, because she offers to help with the dishes, and she's like, "Let me see your dish hands." And he says, "No, I have some woman who comes and does the dishes for me in the morning." You know, so she says, "You know, up to your old tricks there, Gordo. Lots of fun." They have a nice little goodbye. So you know, they're on okay terms. Better than Ed is with Tracy. So you know, that's how it goes.
But Gordo is now releasing that resentment that he has, right? Like he's just trying to get through it.
Yeah, once
Finally.
Tracy leaves, Gordo wants to hang out with Danny and Jimmy, but they have other plans to go hang out with friends. And they want to hang with their dad, so he lets them go. They take off. He says, "Look out for each other," and then he kind of just looks down at the beer, and I guess he just was starting to pound beers from here on as he's kind of walking back on his deck here.
And then he did what everybody did.
Continued to pound beers.
Yeah. Right, just one after, just going, chain drinking, going there. We got another scene in between here with Margot in a vending machine.
What was the point?
I don't know.
No point, but for some reason I loved it. I loved it when she celebrated after getting the fucking thing. Like,
She wanted her peanut butter and raspberry
I get-
sandwich.
I get the
Raspberry
impression
jam
that
sandwich.
it's more of a. This is also helping her with another issue
Yeah.
that she was having.
100%. This negative
But-
pressure thing.
But
is
I
really
agree with
great.
Kevin. I thought it was just
Yeah.
a fun scene to have. Like, it
Is
was
75 cents like? I feel like that's expensive for 1983.
83.
I'm saying no. That was a deal.
No, I would say that's still fine. Because I remember going like to McDonald's and it was like $3 for the whole meal, like the
Right. Okay.
that kind of thing, the value meal. So I think that makes kind of some sense.
The sandwich packaged on May 20th, 1983.
So we're definitely in May then.
Who hasn't had this experience where the rings turn on the vending machine and the thing gets caught? It's caught between the glass and the thing. You think they would design it so that would be impossible, but it seems to happen.
She's also one of the highest up people here. Like if she breaks the vending machine, I don't think she's worried about losing her job or anything.
Well, she makes a
Like-
pretty good salary. She could put another 75 cents in. If she has to.
Yeah, that's kind of
Then
what
she'll
I was
have two
thinking.
sandwiches and
No, it's
Can
the
we-
principle.
Wait, can we
It's-
can we just ask a question? What the hell is a Tato skin?
That's a potato skin.
Something
How about a bag of
Jaemeel
potato
loves.
skins? Well, yeah.
Basically, it's a chip that is flavored like Jim Edelson's favorite snack food.
Ah, that
It
makes
looks like it looks like almost like a pretzel or something. I don't know.
it
if
looks
it's-
gross.
You got
I can
old
tell
school
you, in like
Doritos.
1983, though, they didn't care about light anything.
It says Tato skins, baked potato,
Crunchy snack chip.
crunchy snack chips. Yeah,
40 cents. It's a deal.
40 cents,
That's
75
alright.
cents. How much for this? How much for the Doritos?
I don't remember
40
there
cents.
being crunchy Cheetos though.
No. Well, they're saying they were cheese puffs too.
Oh, puffs for sure, but I don't remember the crunchy ones.
Well, Margot's gonna get that sandwich no matter what. She doesn't want that junk food. She wants her peanut butter and raspberry jam sandwich.
I guarantee you, whatever is in that sandwich is probably not as healthy as as the chips now.
Probably not.
It's been sitting in a vending machine.
She eventually flips the flap thing at the bottom, which causes negative pressure.
Do we know what
I
type
get-
of sandwich this was? Maybe we
Peanut
kept
butter and
that.
raspberry jam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she gets it out, and there's a big celebration here for Margot as she got the sandwich.
She
out.
figures out negative pressure would win in this scenario.
I feel like the negative pressure science is going to come back later, not in
I
this
feel
episode. but-
so as well.
so
yeah.
Let's all try to remember the vending machine.
Okay.
Don't forget.
Well, remember negative pressure.
There's this whole scene here with Danny and Jimmy Stevens, and now they're joined by
Kelly.
Kelly Baldwin and some other.
They're drinking at the football field.
They're
You know,
underage
who
drinking
didn't do this?
at the football field in the back of the pickup truck, having a tailgate party, if you will. Kelly wants to hear all about the Annapolis Naval Academy from Danny. That's mostly what is discussed here. Danny's like, "Oh, it's not so bad after the first month of being a pledge and getting the hazing, and then it gets better after that." And he talks about seeing the aircraft, on the aircraft carrier, a jet land and then stop dead when it hits the cable. And Kelly's super into all of that. So
Kelly-
I don't remember them asking the really important question though.
where's Leda? Well,
Where's
There's
Leda?
Leda.
she's not.
I
in
wonder
the
if these
scene.
guys know.
She would
No.
be. She'd be a little older than them, right? She's like 22 now. Or
I have
something.
to say it's the second episode with Kelly, and even now she's more important than Elena.
Right. Do you accept Heather's critique that she maybe looks a little too old to be playing?
She looks like a 40-year-old woman. She was
Yeah, she looks a little old to be playing this like 18-year-old, I think. But
They
See,
tried to like make her look young and stuff.
The
but-
Asian DNA.
they're like
is
you'll
fantastic,
hit
though.
the right age in season 3, and you'll look like you're appropriate.
They age very well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then Ed is working back here at home on his little model ships. I guess he works on models, painting them.
Little
up here.
tiny ones, yeah.
When there's a ring at the phone, he comes to the and it's Karen calling from the outpost. Gordo's kind of wasted back here at the outpost. His breath
And he's
stinks.
currently hitting on everything that moves.
He's sing. What was the song he was singing? Does anyone know what this was? It was definitely like an '80s song.
I don't remember it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I know this song. Wait a second, I'll tell you.
Okay, well, Gordo's just he's going after these two women here who don't seem into it.
You think?
Yeah.
That was some excellent critique there.
Yeah, that's my analysis.
They just
everyone.
you know what? They just didn't seem that into it.
They didn't seem super interested. Ed comes in. There's some looks here between Ed and Karen. And so she's like, deal with your friend, deal with Gordo, get him out of here.
Well, and I get the impression this isn't the first time. Like this
No,
is
not the first time either.
this is somewhat regular.
So Ed does it in a way to, and Gordo doesn't really, put up any kind of a fight or anything, so goes relatively in peace and good nature.
He's singing "Eye in the Sky" by Alan Parsons Project.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was fun. Anyway, so Ed's like, I got to steal him away from you ladies. Please forgive me. And they're like, oh, yeah. So then we get, I think, what's the iconic scene for me in this episode, which is just Gordo and Ed walking on the side of the highway here talking.
I got a problem with this.
What is it?
All right. Here's my problem. You got to see the headlights coming, right? And he's standing in the middle of the street, basically, and then Ed tells him to get the hell out of the way, right? Why do all these goddamn things have to do Final Destination on me? Why do they have to do this where they constantly set up people are going to die and then they don't die and then they die a different way? I absolutely hate that. Just let them die.
No one's dying.
I know, but you thought for a second, like, who didn't when they were watching that scene? Oh, look at those headlights coming towards Gordo. Like,
Sometimes
are they going to take him out?
Sometimes that seems to be a signal. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, Gordo's on a journey here. He's a man lost. He's talking about Tracy and everything else, and he kind of walks out onto the road here when the first car comes by, and Ed has to talk him back to the side of the road, and eventually Gordo it gets pretty emotional.
That was a period accurate Mustang, by the way.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm driving the wrong side of the road.
For some stupid reason. Yeah, I don't know that part.
Yeah, like Kevin, they've really torn Gordo down into basically nothing. Where he's talking about how he misses it, how he's not been able to get it back since he was in space last, and
Yeah, he's
else.
really struggling, and because there's so many guys go through this, right? Like,
Of course.
and I love it. I love this for Gordo because he was so shitty in his younger years, and now those chickens
Caught
are
up
coming
to
home to roost, right?
Yeah.
Is this his penance, his redemption arc?
Kinda, yeah.
This is redemption, yeah.
Yeah, and Ed trying to be his friend, Jeff. Like, do you feel like Ed does a good job to try to help Gordo here?
I think it's kind of like an obligation that I think a big part of it is when Gordo was like basically he was replaced by Molly, right? And when that happened, I think that it wasn't just all the stuff with Tracy. I think it was that kind of sent him down that spiral. And then he went to space after that, right?
He went to but then you got the space madness.
And then he got the space madness. I just think it was like a multiple amount of things, and it's just like all cascades, and it's all hitting him at once.
He was labeled this great hero when he totally didn't deserve it at all, and there's all, he feels like a fraud in a lot of ways. And
Yeah.
I think it's like a lot of vets get this, like, and I think that scene like last season that he had with a real actual vet,
Clayton,
Clayton.
like Danielle's husband,
Danielle's husband,
Who is now dead.
who's not dead. Yeah,
right. I think like they're trying to make a point with Gordo's character that a lot of like what Kevin just said, that a lot of people and men go down that road and they never come out of it, you know.
He's
And
a
they're just
broken
kind of
man on a Halifax pier, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and considering that Daniel basically covered for him, Danielle, pardon me, and
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
It really look when he asked her in season 1, like after all that, he was like, "Let me tell the truth. Let me bring it out there." And she was like, "No, like that's like, you know, I'll be like, they'll know everything we did, the ruse of it all, and I'll get grounded forever." So no.
And even in this grief, he feels inadequate because he's like Ed is consoling him, and he's like, "You've been through so much more. I can't shake this. I can't come out of this."
Yeah, they bring up Shane, and you see Ed's face
Yeah.
when that is brought up. But this episode's called "The Bleeding Edge," and I really feel like this whole scene here is kind of the epitome of all that. Is eventually Ed gets Gordo back to his house, you know, and into bed for the night. And as Ed's leaving, he looks, you know, where I guess Gordo sleeps most of the night on the couch here. Obviously, he's not living the healthiest life, especially since Tracy and him divorced 5 years before this. I guess, right? So they were still married for like 3 more years after the end of season 1, before it really started to go, you know, sour. And then he sees here the photo on the wall of the time it was Apollo 10, I guess, you know, when it was Ed and Gordo and that other guy, and you know, thinking about their old times, their old days. Anyway, so then we go over to Molly, who has this encounter here with Wubbo, who's saying goodbye to everyone here at NASA. She sees them, and then she turns around. She tries to leave, and then he sees her and just says goodbye. You know, because he's only got a few years left before he presumably will start developing cancers and will likely die from that. And you know, and so he's gonna go home and be with his family.
You don't know that.
You don't know that, says Molly. Molly says you're that's a cop out, and you know, he's like, well, I'm sorry, but this is what I'm doing. I'm not going.
Fuck your family. You made a commitment to NASA.
Not to mention his life, his own life is you know, as well, and yeah. So anyway, Molly's not having it. He kind of just goes, "Okay, Molly, take care of yourself. Bye." You know, and he just walks out here. But yeah, Molly, she's different sometimes.
Well, she's obviously dealing with the fact that exactly what he said is happening to her.
But she's making different decisions, and she's trying to process why she's choosing different things, or maybe she's reconsidering her decisions based on this
Projection.
conversation.
Yeah, it's projection.
Gordo was waking up here the next morning in his bed, sleeping off the night before. They said that the meeting's been moved up to 11 a.m., so Gordo's got to head in here. He's did this actor really put on all this weight? I
did.
wonder.
I
Yes.
think so, yeah.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he had to lose it at one point as well.
Yeah. Anyway, so here comes Gordo, coming into the meeting, feeling lots of pain actually. As he grabs a big cup of black coffee here to start, says, "Hey, what? Do you know what the meeting got moved up?" But no one does. Ed walks in.
I love when he walks up and she's just like, "You look horrible."
You look like shit. It was like, good to see you too. You know. Anyway, coming into the room here is Ed. He's giving his big announcement for the next crew assignments. We see that redheaded Air Force guy that Ed was talking to in the last episode. Who just
That's the
wants to
guy
shop.
he's gonna go all like Full Metal Jacket, right? He's the guy that's gonna like take out like 20 people.
He's gonna start spying for the Russians for sure.
He's definitely going to be something, yeah, because he's been set up as to be. He was
I love-
scored by
I
Ed
love it.
Baldwin.
I love in the back there's like one lady just still smoking a cigarette. She's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care if there's anything going on. I'm
Yeah,
still smoking.
still
Somebody still
1983.
needs to smoke.
Somebody's gotta smoke.
Even though it's way fewer at this point. And I guess they're not wearing like suits anymore and everything, right? Ties and all that. That's all kind of gone away here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so except for Ed, he's wearing one. But Ed's giving his next announcements, and the next assignment is Danielle. Danielle's, who's been out of the program for a while. She's going to be coming back and being the leader of, I think it's Jamestown 91, they call it. The 91th, things. Redheaded guys say, "What the hell? I got passed over here. DEI, what the hell? And then Danielle,
Got
of
this
course,
fat guy going. Look at him.
yeah. But then the big announcement here is that, and joining her will be Gordo Stevens.
That's
here
even more egregious. Look at that motherfucker.
I know, like, and everyone can see. Everyone in the room knows. Like, he is like out of shape. He's a disaster. He smells like booze. But you know, this is where the guy snaps. This is
Oh,
where
I get it. He's the Harry Kim of the show.
he's
Forever ensign.
He's forever an ass can with nothing to do.
Gordo is trying to go along with the moment and not freak out, but he's clearly not super thrilled with this.
That guy
announcement.
is clearly like, the cousin of Stifler or something.
Yeah, that guy's like, "Great job, Gordo!" And then this Ed comes up to Gordo, and Gordo says, "I can't do this. You can't do this to me. You can't put me up there." And Ed's just like, "Yeah, man, you wanted to, get it back. This is your chance." So this is Ed trying to help Gordo.
Which is a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
Well, I would assume they're all still active, right? Like, they're
Doesn't
all
he
still-
remember tackling him on the moon and trying to keep him from taking his helmet
Yeah.
off?
Right.
like,
These guys,
these guys are Navy, right? Technically,
yeah, they're both
Didn't-
Navy. Yeah.
They're both
Didn't
Navy.
he just
so-
put this nearly suicidal man to bed a few hours ago?
Yes. The man who wanted to walk out into traffic. The man who's lost his will
He
to
goes,
live.
I gotta put him. I'll put him through all the astronaut training stuff again. So
He's like, "Hey, Daddy, you're taking it back," especially after the history that those two have with him, right? And everything that happened up there, you know.
It's like Danny should just say, "I'm not going."
Yeah, Gordo's like, you're. This is such an Ed Baldwin move, though.
Well,
yeah.
it didn't look like Danny was like upset about that, so I'm guessing she already knew.
She looked concerned at least. You know, she
Did
was
she?
trying to be.
I didn't notice that.
She was trying to be happy, but also like, okay,
Oh,
you know. And I don't think she was
I must
too
have missed
sure.
it.
If she was in
Oh,
Ed's
okay,
position,
yeah, I can see it there. Okay,
yeah,
never
she's
mind.
like, okay, you know, and Gordo's just freaking out. Then we got our final shot for the episode, which was kind of cool. Where
I
it's
like
just
this shot. This
just
is so cool.
Molly having a smoke out front here at the JSC, just kind of, you know, and then Gordo just shows up, freaking out based on all that, and she lights him up one. He needs a smoke now, and then he's just like holding the smoke.
He
as the
just
episode
looks at it.
as the episode is ending, and that is it. So yeah, it was
Well, and I liked that scene because of the fact that it was the opposites, right? Like that was the whole point. Was you got one that doesn't want to go to space, and you got another one that didn't want to leave space. So it's like, you get the opposites. One's going down, one's going up.
Exactly. There's a lot going on here. We got through the plot. Adam, tell me what else I might have missed in this episode.
Fun facts with Adam.
Fun facts with Adam.
Adam. Ba-dum-bum.
It's good. You guys are good. Listen, I was very curious about the rad exposure. So how much is good, right? So
I think
How about zero?
Yeah, throw that one.
You want none.
apparently we never go through a day with zero. On this one.
Right.
Oh, we always are getting a little bit of radiation.
We get some radiation, yeah.
So the lethal dose is, and maybe they covered it, but is 400 to 1,000 in a short period.
Right, which neither of them got that, but it was still
No. And then 90 is actually, it's 100 to 200 where you see real effects. Below 100, you wouldn't see much more than just sort of blood poisoning.
And that's to 1,000, right? So it's
No.
it's
Under 100.
under
And she was 90. She was 90.
her reading was 90, but that was a fake, right? She was
Oh, yeah,
probably
yeah,
actually
yeah.
she was probably much closer to 200. What you're saying? What is 200?
You get sick for sure. You have like diarrhea, you have like some issues, but you're not gonna like lethal is 400 to 1,000.
But then you get the cancer later.
Yes.
Right.
It definitely ups your chances.
Yeah, I guess there's not 100% chance.
No.
But I wouldn't want to play those odds. So how do you protect yourself from this radiation?
So radiation damage to the intestinal tract lining will cause nausea, bloody vomiting, and diarrhea. And this occurs if the exposure is 200 or more.
200 more. So that's what he had basically. And she would have had probably like 190 is probably what her rating was.
Yeah,
in reality.
20 to 100 is temporary reduction in white blood cells. 100 to 200, mild radiation sickness within a few hours, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, reduction in resistance. 2 to 300, serious radiation sickness hits you with hemorrhaging, exposure. Is a lethal dose. So,
Good.
and then
Well,
anything
not
over
good.
1,000 is early death in days, like very quickly.
Yeah, not like whenever they present these radiation sicknesses, or if you watch like that show Chernobyl, like you're like, oh my god, this has got to be one of the worst ways to die.
Well, they were all over like 1,000, all those guys,
Yeah, I know. And like, like it's just even getting like,
and just a terrible way to die.
yeah, it's just, it just makes me.
That hasn't happened yet in our timeline, or their timeline.
But Chernobyl,
Only 83.
that's right. Just a couple other things. They were talking about celebrities in the handshake discussion, and Ed cracks. Maybe I can call up Madonna. The problem, Madonna actually didn't release Like a Virgin until 1984, so she wasn't even a thing yet, really. So
Damn,
maybe in this timeline they have the
Illusion
advanced
room.
technology to get Madonna more famous sooner.
yeah, it could be. Sorry, guys, I just lost.
Sorry, I distracted you with my Madonna alternate history.
Yeah, it's
Either that or your arms.
My guns.
Could have been the guns.
Could have been the guns.
What else do I got here? Creator cameo. Technical advisor and real-life astronaut Garrett Reisman appears as the shuttle's Columbia commander in this episode. However, in real life, he was only 15 years old in 1983.
So that's kind of, trickery.
Next, they're going to tell me they didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
What?
As you know, Linda Park guest starred in this episode, which was a nice treat for all Star Trek fans.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Linda Park. Toshi Sato. Prodigy.
But like, it kind of makes you wonder, like, has she done much after Star Trek?
I don't think so.
I think she
Like,
focused on family, she said she was going to do.
We saw her walking around the cruise, Dave.
I was okay the night. Yeah, it was before you joined us on the cruise. But like Jane and I were there for our dinner at Chops, and we were like standing behind her. She was at the trying to get the like the hostess to like give her somewhere quiet to work on something. She wanted to have like a desk area. So
Kind of funny that she would leave her cabin for that, but
and then she turned around and we were wearing like our Mirror Universe stuff, and we're like, hey. Like we clearly know who you are, right?
well, yeah, I saw her in the cafeteria a couple of times too. It was like Tuvok walking around and looking all grumpy, for a while.
She was on 26 episodes of Bosch.
Yeah, she's actually had a pretty decent career. Like, she's done a lot of onesie episodes of things.
Yeah, she's done a lot of TV work mostly.
But like Bosch, that's a pretty big show.
Okay, so John Lennon telling Ronald Reagan about peace is a paraphrase of a real John Lennon quote, which reads, "If someone thinks that peace and love are just a cliche that must have been left behind in the 60s, that's a problem. Peace and love are eternal."
That's right. You tell him, John Lennon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just give peace a chance.
Yes, Jody. Jody's got a problem with that.
Yeah, Jody thinks it's going to end the world if he lives.
Yeah. Ed Baldwin's board shows how much the space shuttle program has advanced in the alternate timeline, allocating crew to mission STS-83. In our timeline, STS-83 did not happen until 1997.
Well, they're moving things along, but not so much with the technology on the projectors.
Well, let's talk about the cell phone, because the one that was used by Tracy Stevens is actually an IBM Simon, which was an early attempt at creating a smartphone in the mid-90s. As with many technologies portrayed in the show, it implies that cell phones advanced at a more rapid pace in real life due to the space program. But they couldn't get freaking video games going.
Good, yeah, it's still only Atari. Sorry, you're just going to have to deal.
Yeah.
Well, this is true though, because Nintendo didn't I hit it in video games until '84 with the
Yeah.
Famicom.
But like, I guess if they had invented certain chips a little sooner, and like, I don't know, like it would have played out. Different people would have invented the games too, right?
You asked about his weight, Michael Dorman's weight. He actually gained 40 pounds to play out and out of shape with Gordo Stevens in this season.
40
He did it very quickly, but found the weight gain affected his thoughts, emotions, and sleep patterns. When the season was over, he finished, basically got the weight off in 6 weeks.
Wow,
That's a lot. That's a big drop.
that's a lot of purging.
It's easier when you're used to being smaller. It's easier to lose weight than if you're bigger and you're trying to lose weight. Because you're just going back to your norm, right?
Yeah, true.
That's why when you lose weight, it's hard to keep it off too, because you want to go back to it.
And I think I'll call it a night there.
All right. Well, thank you, Adam. Those were fun and factual. So
Yes.
we salute you for your contributions. And for that, we will move on to our ratings for this episode. And Jody, you're always first, so let's hit you up.
Now that I've talked more about this episode, I'm not as keen onto it as I was. I'm still going to give it a decent rating, though. I'm going to give it like a 7.2. That's what I want.
7.2 from Jody. Okay. Adam, you're up.
I'm giving it a 7.5. I understand we are in the transition. It just better get good quick because I'm losing interest a little bit here. It's got to get going, guys.
It's a build, but I'm with you. 7.5 for me too. Kevin?
6.5, same as last week.
Okay, Heather, we'll have to catch up with her later. And Jeff? 7?
Can't hear him.
Yeah, okay, so we're averaging 7.1. So a bit of a drop here. The IMDb scores also reflect that, with a 7.9 for episode 1 and 7.3 for episode 2. That's right on line here. So that I feel like we're not far off. The rest of the audience also feels like this beginning of season 2 is a bit of a okay.
Like, I'm not hating it. It's
I understand what Adam.
I agree with
saying.
Adam. Yeah, it's a slow burn now.
Let's get moving here.
Let's get moving. Let's get space shuttles blowing up or something. I don't know. Preferably not. Oh, who did that? Anyway, well, thanks for being with us, everyone. Another episode to break down here. So the next episode, next Monday night, we'll be back for episode 3, Rules of Engagement. We're here, Tracy, not too happy with Ed putting Gordo, on this next mission. So we're gonna catch up with all that and see how the family drama of the Stevens plays out at NASA, amongst other things. Everything else they've been setting up this season. Maybe some more action. We'll see. Also, this Thursday, you can check out our next installment of Star Trek: The Next Generation rewatch podcast. We are nearing the end of season 2. We are on for episode 21 from that season, peak performance with the war games. I got Jody, Justin, and Heather joining us for this one, so look out for that. Next week is the clip show too, Shades of Grey, before Star Trek Strange New Worlds coming back.
Do you really need to even do the clip show one?
There's no podcast. We need to do more. Did Jeff leave?
It appears so.
That's a new record where he comes in late. And
usually he says bye or something.
He gives his rating and then he just like, okay, peace.
He's like, peace about.
I don't know. When did Strange New World start, Dave?
July. I'm hoping that we might actually have a couple.
I think I heard 26th or something of July.
So are you pausing Next Gen during that?
Yeah, July 17th. The question, but we don't really. Yeah, so we're gonna have. I don't know if I want to start season 3, until we finish Strange New Worlds, but we will actually have the ability to do that theoretically. So we've got a couple episodes in. It just might be hard to come back. Maybe more. Maybe only for me because I'm really the only one that's there every week, versus the people who just come in for the episodes. So. Okay, well, I'll have to think about that. But yeah, July 17th will be the premiere of Strange New World Season 3. They are in the process of making Season 4, and they've already announced it's canceled after an abbreviated Season 5. So its fate has been sealed. But look out for Starfleet Academy coming our way at some point. We'll see how that plays out. Anything? Oh, and this past Sunday, we had our Star Trek Trivia Challenge. We call it The Trouble with Trivia. It was the behind-the-scenes edition with our Quiz Admiral Ashley, as we had myself, Sean Farrick, and Davin Skelhorn all competing in that trivia session. Go check
I
it out.
haven't watched it yet, but I'm guessing that Davin didn't win.
The best part was that Ashley had to do research for the trivia, and she was like, I was looking at this article, and I said, who wrote this article? It was written by Sean Farrick. So, it was, whoa, what's that? It was like an old internet signal from like the 80s. Okay, well.
If I had to guess, I'd say it was Adam.
No, it was not.
No, it was likely me.
Okay. Oh, good. But anyway, go check out that trivia section here, and Live Long and Podcast. We got all kinds of great things going on all the time. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you for the next installment. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks, and for Heather and Jeff, peace out.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.